Imagine a world where lion steak was a delicacy, or wolf meat a common dinner. Sounds absurd, right? We raise billions of animals for food, but predators? They are almost universally off the menu. This isn't just about taste or availability. It is a deep-seated evolutionary avoidance. What ancient intelligence steered us away from the most dangerous meat on the planet? Across every continent and culture, humans reached the same unspoken conclusion. Eat the plant eaters, leave the meat eaters alone. While a cow and a wolf are both made of muscle and protein, one is a global staple and the other is a biological hazard. This isn't a coincidence or a lack of courage. It is a sophisticated survival strategy encoded into our history. To understand why we don't eat the hunters, we have to look at the brutal mathematics of energy, the hidden chemistry of toxins, and the ancient warnings that saved our species from a lethal mistake. New research from Dr. Anya Sharma at UCL, presented in March 2026, suggests our primate ancestors underwent a massive dietary shift that prioritized safety over raw protein, a move that may have actually accelerated our brain development by reducing exposure to neurotoxins found in apex hunters. The primary reason we don't farm lions is simple. The math doesn't add up. In 1942, ecologist Raymond Lindemann identified the 10% rule of trophic dynamics. Essentially, only 10% of energy survives the jump from one level of the food chain to the next. Think of it like a pyramid. To produce 1,000 pounds of grass, you can sustain 100 pounds of deer. That 100 pounds of deer can only support about 10 pounds of wolf. If humans wanted to eat that wolf, we would be choosing the most expensive, inefficient calorie source on Earth. To raise a predator for food, you would first have to farm a massive population of prey animals just to feed your livestock. No civilization could afford that kind of waste. We chose herbivores like cows and sheep because they turn grass, something we can't eat, directly into protein. Predators, however, require us to sacrifice perfectly good meat just to get a smaller amount of different meat. It is an ecological bank account that always stays in the red. A seminal paper by Dr. Kenji Tanaka of Kyoto University, published in February 2026, links our expanded frontal lobe activity to these calorie-rich foraging strategies. We didn't just get smarter. We got smarter because we stopped wasting energy on the wrong fuel. Farming a predator would be like burning dollar bills to stay warm when there is a pile of wood right next to you. Beyond the cost, there is an invisible danger called biomagnification. Toxins like mercury, lead, and industrial chemicals don't wash away. They concentrate as they move up the food chain. A small fish eats a bit of toxin. A bigger fish eats 1,000 small fish, absorbing all their poison. By the time you reach an apex predator, you are eating a biological sponge for every pollutant in the ecosystem. This is why the EPA warns against eating too much shark or swordfish today. We saw this catastrophe in the 20th century when DDT caused bald eagle populations to collapse because the chemical became so concentrated in their bodies that their eggshells literally crumbled. Even the legendary explorer Douglas Mawson learned this the hard way in 1911. His team, starving in the Antarctic, ate their sled dogs' livers. They didn't know that predators store lethal levels of vitamin A in their organs. The result was agonizing. Skin peeling off in sheets and total organ failure. Our ancestors didn't need a lab to know that eating the hunter often meant inviting the hunter's poison into your own blood. Professor Lena Petrova highlighted in a June 2026 webinar that our cognitive mapping skills were crucial for identifying these safer food sources, allowing us to bypass the toxic traps that wiped out other competing species. There is also the matter of what a predator actually does for a living. Predators are the cleanup crew of nature. They target the sick, the old, and the weak. This means a predator's diet is a rotating door of parasites and pathogens. When you eat a carnivore, you aren't just eating meat. You are eating everything that was wrong with its prey. Parasites like trichinosis are notoriously common in animals that eat other animals, which is why wild boar and bear meat are considered high risk. Furthermore, the constant stress of the hunt floods a predator's muscles with cortisol and adrenaline, making the meat tough, musky, and bitter. While history shows rare exceptions, like bear meat in the Arctic or lion during extreme famines, these were always acts of desperation, never a first choice. Neuroscientist Dr. Emily Carter suggested in July 2026 that our very self-awareness of vulnerability drove us to innovate food acquisition strategies that avoided these biological landmines. We evolved the intelligence to realize that the risk of the hunt wasn't just the claws and teeth of the animal, but the invisible threats hidden inside its flesh. The 2025 Human Origins Summit consensus firmly states that this dietary diversification, rather than predator hunting, was the key driver of our survival. As our understanding of biology and energy matured, our ancestors didn't just rely on instinct. They codified these survival lessons into the very fabric of human culture and religion. Across the globe, ancient dietary laws almost universally mirror the biological risks we've discussed. From the kosher laws in Leviticus to various indigenous taboos, the message was clear. Animals that kill for a living are not for the plate. This wasn't just spiritual superstition. It was a brilliant form of ancient public health. By labeling predators as unclean or taboo, leaders ensured their populations avoided the high parasite loads and lethal vitamin concentrations found in carnivores. Even today, the exception remains rare. South Africa runs a legal lion farming industry, but it exists almost entirely for bones in traditional medicine, not for meat. New isotope analysis on fossil teeth published in April 2026 confirms a diet shift away from predator-rich environments was a global phenomenon. We have spent thousands of years building a civilization that distances itself from the toxicity of the apex predator. This collective intelligence allowed us to thrive, turning us into the ultimate masters of the food chain, without having to consume the poison at its peak. Our survival depended on knowing not just how to hunt, but knowing exactly what was too dangerous to eat. As we move deeper into 2026, the question of why we don't eat predators is taking on a new technological dimension. While our ancestors relied on instinct and cultural taboos to stay safe, modern science is now exploring whether we can finally bypass the biological barriers that once made carnivore meat a death sentence. Lab-grown meat technology is currently attempting to cultivate lion and tiger cells in controlled environments, stripping away the risks of biomagnification, parasites, and the 10% energy loss rule. However, even with the toxins removed, we are finding that the human palate remains remarkably resistant. Data from the University of California's Apex Diet Project, updated this month, shows that even when presented with safe, synthetic versions of predator meat, consumers overwhelmingly report a psychological disgust response. This suggests that our evolutionary intelligence didn't just create a set of rules. It permanently altered our sensory perception. We are biologically tuned to prefer the flavor profiles of animals that eat plants. This brings us to the ultimate realization. Our survival wasn't just about avoiding poison. It was about the efficiency of our entire species. By focusing on herbivores, we freed up the cognitive resources necessary to build civilizations, develop language, and eventually reach the stars. If we had spent our history trying to farm the hunters, we likely would have remained a small, struggling species on the brink of extinction. Our success is a testament to the power of choosing the smarter path over the harder one. This deep-seated wisdom is what mindset mechanics is all about. Understanding the hidden systems that govern our world so we can make better decisions for our future. If this journey through our evolutionary past changed the way you look at your next meal, make sure to subscribe to Mindset Mechanics and share your thoughts in the comments below.